Hello and welcome back to another episode of Mystery Red Reads. I am your host, Mystery Red, and this is my disclaimer. This beta read in Concord is at the author's request. This video is for learning purposes. Today we're looking at a piece of original fiction. We are looking at Infinite Shades by Crystal Committee. We are on chapter 15 this morning, and my bunny is scampering all around my living room. I'm working in my living room because my office is completely full of presents and I cannot work there. I have to have semi-organized space and room to breathe and move and not trip over things. So, let's see. What did I just do? Did I do that? What just happened? First of all, what just happened? Why did it do that? It added a whole section. Why did it do that? Anyway, I'm going to make sure I'm on suggesting before I dive in here. And before I start my timer, I'm going to say that I have a playlist for Infinite Shades for Crystal Committee. So you can go to Crystal Committee and you can follow along the story from the beginning if you like. We are today looking at chapter 15 and I'm going to read for 30 minutes and then I'm going to find a spot to stop, and I'll be reading in parts likely unless this is a shorter chapter, but we will see what happens. Okay. Section 1, which I'm not going to read that. I meant not to do that. Sections are actually for Crystal Committee. They are how they break up their work and use it to track their edits on when they're working from their phone. Okay. Sam, followed by Chavez, enters the local police department. They flash their badges to the desk officer and are directed to where they can wait. Thanks for putting the rush on it, Sam smiles at Chavez. My pleasure. Besides, it's a chance to get to know the locals, right? Yeah, though fair warning, tensions between the feds and the officers here aren't the best. I can't even classify it as moderate. True enough, the committee murmurs, but Bryant's connection with two is your wedge. That's why this works. Bryant earns trust here, and Chavez builds it in turn. I was paying attention when Agent Scott gave the crash course. If I were a cop here, I wouldn't like us much either. You always do your homework, Sam asks, already knowing he does. The first thing you do when entering an unknown territory is to learn to speak the language and understand the culture. Practical advice, the committee interjects, but speaking the language doesn't mean you belong. That takes time. Bryant has it. Chavez doesn't yet. That's why this shift matters. You're planting seeds. I'm pausing. So I've had 2 lines of dialogue. Sam is talking to Chavez, so I'm assuming that's who these... My pleasure, besides its chance to gets to know the locals, right. I did not really need a tag here because she smiled at Chavez, who I'm assuming she's speaking to. My pleasure, besides the chance to get to know the locals. Okay. Yeah, though fair warning, tensions between the feds and the officers here aren't the best. I can't even classify it as moderate. Okay, so I'm thinking this is Sam again. I would not necessarily have 2 lines of dialogue without tags this close together, because it did give me pause. I'm just going to say musing in video. There we go. And we're going to keep going. True enough, the committee murmurs, but Bryant's connection with two is your wedge. That's why this works. Bryant earns trust here, and Chavez builds it in turn. I was paying attention when Agent Scott gave the crash course. If I were a cop here, I wouldn't like us much either. You always do your homework, Sam asks, already knowing he does. The first thing you do when entering an unknown territory is to learn to speak the language and understand the culture. Practical advice, the committee interjects, but speaking the language doesn't mean you belong. Then that takes time. Bryant has it, Chavez doesn't yet. That's why this shift matters. You're planting seeds. They won't like that I'm a Fed, seeing it as cozying up to the enemy. My dad was search and rescue, respected amongst some of the older crowd. I'm hoping to play on that. And you will, one voice assures. Bryant owes you for 2. That bond, 2x4 and 4x4, goes deeper than duty. He'll hold the line because you gave him something worth protecting. I didn't know that, Chavez says. There's a lot about me you don't know, Sam smiles. But that's why you're with me, to figure out how to fill the gap in your language barrier. You up for that? I'll do my best. I'm counting on it. Okay, I'm gonna pause for a second. She smiled here, and I feel like she just smiled earlier. Yep, there we are. Okay, so smiling's great, and we do it a lot, but it's kind of close together, so I'm inclined to point it out to you. So we're just going to do that, and we're going to notice it, and you know what to do with it, and we'll move on. Their attention is drawn by an officer, who they follow through the security gate. Both are replacing their weapons into their holsters as Bryant approaches them. Agent Clemens and Chavez, Bryant asks. Clemens, Sam states, identifying herself. She meets his hand with a tight shake. They exchange glances as Sam knits together what she recalls of him compared to now. We should catch up, exchange notes, she says, letting it drip with innuendo. He remembers your encounter at the academy. Interesting choice we were curious about. But two trusts him. But you, as 4x4, isn't enough to carry this alone. Strengthen the link. Okay, I'm wondering, 2. Who is 2? Is 2 like one of the members of the committee? Are they giving themselves numbers now? But if 2 trusts him and they don't know about the committee, then it's got to be an outside person. Who is 2? Why did I miss that? Was it told to me and I missed it? I'm so mad at myself. Okay, hang on. Let me highlight my spot. I'm going to pause my timer while I try to figure this out. If I can do that. Yep, I can. Okay. Does it tell me who 2 is? Am I supposed to know this? What is wrong with me? 2 is... But Bryant's connection with 2 is your wedge. Who is 2? Is it because I'm reading for multiple stories that I've forgot? Like, did I get this in 14 and I forgot it? Okay. Okay, let's see. So what do I do? Do I go back up here and highlight the first time I noticed 2? For a second, my brain was right away musing back and forth, and then I've decided it came up more than once. So now I'm like, no, I can't. I was musing whether or not it was the committee talking about one of their own, but the way I'm reading this in the context tells me it's someone else. True enough, the committee murmurs, but Brian's connection with 2. Okay. I feel dumb. I feel like if I'm going to say notes and video. This is my disclaimer. I'm reading multiple stories, and it's been a week since I read. And so I may be forgetting details, especially, I'm just going to say that. And then if you did identify who 2 was in 14 and I have forgotten since I read, I apologize, and we're going to keep going. But if not, then you found a thing. There you go. Okay. And then I'm going to get back down here. Why did I highlight this? Was it so that I could hold my spot? I'm just going to erase it, and we're going to keep going. Chavez, he introduces and meets Bryant's hand. Detective Bryant, he looks at Sam. We do. Sorry about that thing with Riley. Chavez turns and peers at Sam in surprise. Part of why we're here, she reasons. You have someplace we can talk in private? Haven't been back long enough to garner the office yet, but if you don't mind an interrogation room, Bryant suggests. Not at all. Sam gives Chavez a calming glance, letting him know to trust and let her lead. You're setting the stage, one step closer to what comes next. Chavez won't like it, but he doesn't need to. Trust the plan. This way, Bryant lends a hand for them to follow and winces as his ribs cause him to tense. I have to admit, I was surprised to get the ASAC's call. Any reason he didn't come himself? Sam tries to hide the smirk tugging at her lips. Other than he's the ASAC and hands off everything to us lowly rookies, I would offer that he was running casual interference for a request from the SAC in cases we've worked on from different angles. I see, Bryant gives a curt nod. Sam elaborates. I suspect neither wants to stir up the hornet's nest by just coming in and taking over, or by appearances doing the simple part, and dropping the more difficult and life-threatening on you. Understandable there, Bryant opens the door and gives them the leeway to enter the interrogation room. Sam faces him. I heard you were caught in the blast downtown. You pulled a young boy from the building? A true hero. She analyzes the space, ensuring that there's no sense of danger or signs that they're being monitored. Chavez's eyes snap to every corner, anticipating trouble. It's okay, Bryant can be trusted. And that trust isn't misplaced, the committee notes. Bryant knows what's at stake, even if he never says it. Don't fault me, Clemens, for not taking your word on that, Chavez mutters. I would never do such a thing, Sam returns, looking at Bryant. The kid okay? Okay, I suggested a delete here. You got a gap between your 2 paragraphs. There we go. Thanks to some helpful advice I received, he will be. Bryant smiles and implies Sam is where he obtained that. He's at Landing View getting some medical attention. Oops, I added the word medical. That's hilarious. Okay, let me try that again. He's at Landing View getting some attention. Special needs, which, without his aunt and uncle to guide the conversation, they're having difficulty communicating with him. I'm pretty good with those types. Maybe I could drop in, she hints. I've heard, Bryant says. As square and as solid as a 4x4. He follows up, then regrets it as his face scrunches and his hand goes to his side. You okay, Detective? Sam asks. I took a few hits in the ordeal, a couple of fractured ribs, tons of smoke, so when I cough, it causes an issue. Captain Barlow hasn't put me on leave, but he has me manning a desk until the docs give the all clear. It wasn't the best thing to pass up the offered help at the scene and go to see an old CI of mine. He shrugs. Trusted him over some unknown quack. Debt repaid. Bryant's smart enough to keep the balance, but the strings are never truly cut. Hear you there. I had my fair share of those in my past, Sam says, catching his reference with a subtle nod. She takes in what she can of his physical condition, letting her expression show compassion for the pain he's trying to hide. Bryant nods and adds, Word through the grapevine was the place was a front for a script mill. When opportunity presents itself, you take it, Sam finishes. Anything come of it? A couple of pain meds and a recommendation to see my primary care physician and send me home. Ouch, Sam returns. Yeah, sorry I couldn't offer more. So enough about me. What's up with you and the cryptic call? I could use your help, Sam grins. Got that. With what? Get Agent Chavez in at the department level and me out? Is it okay if I tell him? She asks, her tone suggesting she's ready for agreement but prepared to adjust. If we're working together, it'd be prudent if he knows where I stand. You'll sum it better, Bryant says. And there it is, the committee chimes. Trust is built on shared ground, and Bryant's got the foundation. Okay, Chavez, Bryant, here is one of us. Us, Chavez frowns. Chavez questions, his brow furrowing. Oh, I just had him frown. Look at that. Like, I summed it all up in one word. I'm actually like, ooh, I don't mean to do that. I actually kind of like the frown. I feel like it did all of those words for you. I'm just say frown. But you do what you want. All right. He's a federal agent, Homeland. I'll let him explain why he's here undercover, but SAC Garrett and ASAC Steiner made sure I was aware during his inquiry into Riley at the academy. Why? Chavez asks. Bryant chuckles, then quips. Oh, did we already have chuckling? I'm just wondering. Did we? We might not have. It could be bouncing in my mind from a read I just finished. I think we're okay. All right. Bryant chuckles, then quips. Probably, so she wouldn't defend Riley, blowing my cover and setting us back to square one on an operation that's been running for years, connecting into everything you can imagine. Clemens, Chavez's eyes dart to Sam. I can't give you all the details, but Riley was in a position where he could gain information on someone Bryant has been after for years. That hacker you said Riley idolized, Chavez asks. There are a couple, but Wraith, yes, the guy with the gifts that keeps on giving, Sam returns. That hacker you said Riley idolized, Chavez asks. Is he repeating himself? I think you have a duplicate. I'm going to highlight it. I think this is we're going to do it in blue. Duplicated below. I'm going to start here and read. I think this is the one you want to keep and that these you probably want to let go of. That hacker you said Riley idolized, Chavez asks. There are a couple, but Wraith, yes, the guy with the gifts that keep on giving, Sam returns. Not the one who truly shaped Riley, though, the committee notes, a ripple of disapproval. Amanda's shadow loomed larger, so focused, so sure, but she missed what we uncovered. I helped, Sam counters. He was a known and well-paid hacker on the deep and dark net. Bryant jumps in. Homeland and other agencies worldwide have been tracking for years. I was the first one to bring him to attention. It's when they pulled me from the department and moved me to Baltimore to follow up on it. That lead put him onto Riley and brought him back here, Sam adds. It turns out Wraith was the deep cover FBI, then a former agent, considered rogue, but provided information regarding anti-terror cases when it suited his purposes. Recently deceased, it's heralded as an accident with collateral damage. Locals caught the case, and our higher-ups want to stay out of it. However, what he was into should be handled at our level, Bryant adds. There are more implications to it, and we, he turns to Sam, seeking confirmation, needed to cut through the jurisdictional red tape and the attention that would be drawn when the Bureau or Homeland gets involved. Smart move, the committee notes. Too many eyes on it otherwise. Bryant carries the badge of hero now. Let him take the lead. Your role comes later. What he's trying to say is that it needs to appear to be a local investigation. He has the Fed's authority, resources, and reach, all, of course, without anyone knowing otherwise, Sam says. I couldn't have explained it better myself, Bryant nods. The explosion downtown, Chavez asks. Yes, both chime in together. Bryant rests against the table, grimacing as he raises his left leg to the chair. You have a name for me? I do, but it's only going to get you brick walls with the Bureau. There was a lot of B's there. Why? Brick walls with the Bureau. What? But brick walls with the Bureau. Okay, we're going to try that again. Sorry. I do, but it's only going to get you brick walls with the Bureau. And a world of bleep should you touch on what they were investigating. High-end classifications that even the SAC is unwilling to acknowledge. Why the reassignment, Scott? And now you too? I can know the name but shouldn't act on it, Bryant says. Yes, Sam returns. Then says to Chavez, give it to him. Ma'am, Chavez asks, but he sees her cringe at the term. Sorry, habit. He digs into his pocket, retrieving the thumb drive. Sam takes it and provides it to Bryant. What you need is on there. It's been redacted and may or may not relate to any other case you're part of. He accepts the drive and stuffs it in his pocket. But not everything. I'd prefer to say I'm sorry, but I cannot with honesty. What Wraith was into crossed a few classified operations on our end, none of which I have nor want the details of, for good reason. But he was Bureau at one time. His death was not accidental. Thus, those responsible need to be held accountable, Sam says. Okay, so I am noticing the says and the asks again in this one. So I'm just going to pause my timer. Pause. Okay. And kind of look for those really quickly. Obviously, there's some distance between them, so it could be okay, but I just want to point them out to you because I am kind of noticing repetition on our dialogue tags. Oh, I don't want it to be pink because that's my little highlighter that tells me where I left off. Let me pick a different color. Let's go with this pastel-y blue color. And let's kind of go back. I'm just going to say we're using the same ones a lot. It doesn't mean you have to change it. I'm just noticing them and I'm going to observe it. Says and asks. I feel like there was more of them. And so I think after like the third time in the same chapter, I'm like, could we do something different? Oh, and then you actually had one right here that I did not notice. That was an actual echo kind of. They weren't within the same paragraph, but they're pretty darn close. And they're exactly the same, and they are for dialogue tags. So let's see. Yep, and there is another one. Just so you can see how many, and you can choose what to do with that information. When there's kind of a lot of them, we probably need to notice it. Going back, yeah, there's another one. Obviously, we're going to have dialogue tags. You would have multiple says, so why not have multiple asks or says? But just to give you perspective, to quickly glance at it and see them, and then make a decision what you want to do with that information is more the reason I'm pointing it out. Okay, I'm not saying you definitely have to do something about it. I just want to bring it to your attention and see if we notice something. I'm going to stop there. Like, I'm not going to keep scrolling back up. I kind of stopped at section 2. Just to note that I'd not go all the way up. But from here on down, if I continue to notice them, like here's another one already, I might go ahead and mark them just so you can get a quick glance, high-level view to see if you want to give it your attention, or even if you want to swap out a couple of them and not necessarily all of them, obviously. Okay, and with that, I'm going to start my read back up. Where did we leave off? Let's just start back at the top of 3, I think. Okay, let's do that. I'm getting messages. Oh my gosh. I did not mean to open that. Oops, my bad. Okay. But he was Bureau at one time. His death was not accidental. Thus, those responsible need to be held accountable, Sam says. I understand and was already on the same line of thinking. How can I help? Bryant asks. Assisting Chavez here as pass-through to ASAC Steiner when you can access the evidence. Someone who knows what should and shouldn't be put into a report and what might interest us. She points to the drive. Okay, Bryant returns. Sam leans against the wall. Riley is working on something now that I have at least 2 correlations with Wraith. His handiwork and signature I recognized. Admittedly, it will not paint a pretty picture for a few well-placed individuals within the PD, especially after the investigation last year. That again, Brian asks. It'll stir it up. We're waiting for the arrest and other warrants to go through. Still, from what I glanced at, it will cross quite a few ongoing cases which can be handled locally, but have many interstate and international connections. Okay, I'm using that sentence, noting that it was kind of like long with several longer words in it. I think it's fine. I'm going to read it again. Part of it could have been that there's interstate and international, so I had 2 similar sounding words that were actually long, but we're going to give it another go. And you can decide what you want to do, if anything. It'll stir it up. We're waiting for the arrest and other warrants to go through. Still, from what I glanced at, it will cross quite a few ongoing cases, which can be handled locally, but have many interstate and international connections. Then there is, we suspect, a big-handed, deep-pocketed pharmaceutical company that Wraith was doing direct work with and brokered a few other deals. Predictable, really, the committee interjects. Wraith never worked in clean lines, only circles that spiral wider. The pharmaceutical ties, you saw that years ago, and now it comes back around. Oh joy, Bryant mocks. That's in here as well. He taps the pocket where he placed the memory stick. Some with more to come, but there's a high likelihood that it will involve me in a matter from years ago that could compromise the investigation. I'm stepping off of it to avoid any concerns in that aspect. Sam pauses, ensuring her innuendo has been made clear. Careful now, one voice murmurs. Your distance protects you, but it also draws suspicion. Bryant needs to believe this is a choice, not a retreat. Bryant takes a moment. I understand you coming here. Those who respect your father will give you a pass, especially for something you were involved in before becoming an agent. But if this touches on what I think it does in one way, possibly more, Sam says. Let's see, really quick. Let me highlight that and we'll keep going. Pardon me, but I need to make sure we're on the same page. Bryant is careful with his words in front of Chavez. Sam gives a thumb up. Do we want thumbs up? Okay, I don't really like that. Hang on. I feel like we're missing thumbs up, but I'm assuming thumbs up. We're just going to put a question mark there because I'm not going to assume anything. I was assuming? I don't know. We're going to keep going. Sam gives a thumbs up to Chavez. He'll be read in at least to a point, but yes, it is related to that incident, Sam says. Bleep. I'm not cussing. Let's see. I'm not cussing. You are. Okay. Yeah, trust me. I was eager yet disappointed. I think I see your quandary, Bryant offers. I assumed you would. Sam turns to Chavez, who is still standing by the door, observing. Sorry to spring it on you like this, especially being in the dark about what we're talking about, but it works out better this way. I'm sorry, Chavez asks. I think in lieu of some of these asks, you could have body language that will show his kind of attitude and feeling towards the situation. Sam takes a breath and elaborates. You have to take his side and that of the department. I'm the one who will be crossing the line, asking what is unacceptable and getting blackballed. What Riley and I triggered? Almost everyone in the bullpen is receiving information from their sources that they are about to be exposed. What was protecting them? What was thought to be dead and buried will all be dug up, because I'm chasing something bigger, not caring for the sacrificial lambs and people that get hurt. And there it is, the committee notes. You take the heat while Chavez gains the trust. Exactly how it should be. Clemens, Bryant asks. Okay. You need to trust me on this one. Bureau wouldn't send an unknown in to gain access to evidence or make peace. They'd send someone like me, with a history. Something to connect, hoping to distract with one hand and take advantage with the other. While not true, it is the perception, and we need to work with it. So, a hero. She looks to Bryant. Kudos for seeing it and sending me packing. Chavez, you gain credence by not agreeing with my actions and making it known. I'm sorry, Chavez asks, confused. And it's broadcasting to Sam as clear as day. That is not what I want. Chavez asks, confused. Yet it's broadcasting to Sam Clears. I don't admit that part. That was confusing me. And then I'm just going to say you've got an opportunity there to show with his body language, or Chavez seems confused would work just as well. Sam pushes off the wall and takes Chavez by the shoulders. Big and explosive. Given our tight time frame, we can't afford weeks and months for them to see you as a trustworthy entity, and me like the bleep I will be. Do me a solid. Give me the keys to the car before you dismiss me. You're going to have to make a scene, son, Bryant says to Chavez, his voice apologetic. But, Chavez stutters, I don't know what the heck is going on. That's the point, Sam offers with a tilt of her head. Some of them out there know the danger I can pose. I attempted to involve you in something you couldn't agree with. They need that, without the specifics of what. But you haven't, Bryant interjects. That room is full of detectives and intuitive officers. She's going to say something to make you mad, and it'll be genuine. You've got permission to let your frustration show and to verbalize it. She's ostracizing herself to give you the in. He tips his head to her. You sure? He's asking you if you're sure, the committee muses, amused. I just omit that. As if you'd hesitate now. Oh yeah, she returns with a confident smile, sensing what she needs forming within Chavez. But, Chavez struggles. He phrased it better than I could have, Sam offers, keeping him within the emotional realm she'd crafted. Team, and it's time to take one for it. You have the authority to speak on the Bureau's behalf on this case and what's on the drive. Signed off by the ASAC. If you want to take a moment to verify that first, she reaches for her phone. I believe you, Clemens, but Chavez tries to back out. Those officers out there, they're underdogs, downtrodden. We, the higher authority, trample all over them, take what we need and give nothing in return. I came here with information and take cases they've been working on, some for years, and closes them with one swooping brush. And close them with one swooping brush. Whether solved or not, cutting them out of the loop, Sam says as Bryant works his leg free of the chair and prepares. I mean, goodness, is he going to hit her? Well said, the committee muses. Though you're not wrong, underdogs or not, they're still pawns in this game, and pawns don't always make it to the other side. She continues. With that, some officers and high-ranking officials will be painted in a bad light. Not their fault. The evidence was falsified and manipulated by the men we are after. But without any way to dispute it, pensions and reputations are lost because we don't care about clearing an officer who is just doing their job. Why would we? When it would cause us to lose a much bigger fish. It won't work. You tried this, pushing my buttons to help me control my outbursts. Chavez stumbles over his words as he glances away. You sure? I can tell you're getting hot under the collar, she says, reading him. Academy was kid gloves. I was learning just like you, but this gets worse. The people they're protecting, their informants, they get exposed. Most won't last long. But again, I don't care. I'm after the big dog. Sam senses this is hitting closer. If I have to, I'll insult your mother. She gives Bryant a hand to open the door. Draw on those hard feelings regarding your brothers. If you feel the need to push, shove, or hell, take a swing at me, do so because I damn well am going to deserve it. You wouldn't dare. Chavez's anger hits a level Sam was wanting. I'll cut that. There we go. Daring and raising the ante. Were you aware your brothers were working with the Federales? One was undercover DEA. The agent was dirty and was under orders to sell your brother down the road to solidify a deal. Of course, he oversold the offer. There it is, the committee notes, the shift in his stance, the fire in his eyes. He's at the edge. One step closer, and he's exactly where you need him. Clemens, Chavez warns, biting back anger. Bryant sidesteps and gets himself out of the way. I would just say sidesteps. That's clear what he's doing when he does that. His admiration for what she's doing emanates. We don't need telling. Perfect, the committee remarks, detached. Let him boil. This has to look real. What? Truth hurts, doesn't it? You're them now. The very thing that brought the cartel to your family's doorstep. She knows she's hit the button and makes a hasty motion to exit the room. She turns to say, that wasn't supposed to come out. But it did, Chavez barks as he steps up to her with intent, his chest puffed out. And you can't take that back. Understand? No, there's a creed, a sense of honor. This badge means something. He places his fingers on his. She picks up on the feelings from the bullpen, and their attention is drawn toward the scene as she's hoped. Eyes on you now, one voice murmurs. Let it sting, it has to. I get what it means, Sam says. No, you don't, Chavez yells. You think it makes you better than us? Otherwise, you wouldn't have said what you did. This, he touches the badge again, it's about honor, justice, and doing what is right. My brothers were honorable men who stood against the cartels. How dare you? He shoves her. We shouldn't do this now, Sam reasons in a forced whisper, seeing Bryant step outside the room and give her a half smile of admiration and well wishes. You're right, Chavez says, his gaze swaying through the room. This isn't over. You might be my superior, but that doesn't excuse what you said. My mama taught me better. His voice rolls under his breath as he bites back the words. You disrespected all of us. Sam continues to reason while she backpedals toward the door. Chavez moves with intent, capitalizing his point attacks with each step. The room has fallen to silence as they distance themselves from the path. When Sam is near the exit, Chavez yanks a set of keys from his pocket, throwing them to her feet. I'll find my way back. No offense, ma'am. While I respect who you are and what you've done, I don't think I could be a gentleman in your company right now. You sure? Sam bends to pick up the keys, the feeling of being ostracized lurking in every direction. While uncomfortable, it was what she was after. It's a long walk back to the federal building. Yes? Okay, have it your way, but this won't end well for you, Sam warns. I accept the consequences of my actions, ma'am. I'm staying here to ensure what you've suggested doesn't happen. No matter how big it is, we don't sacrifice people for an arrest. Fine. Sam lowers her head and exits the precinct. What are you looking at? Chavez lets out as everyone's attention is locked on him. The bullpen stares linger, prickling at his back. You don't have to. I wasn't going to, Bryant offers. You think you know someone? Chavez seethes, attempting to bring control to his anger. Bryant gestures with his hand that he should step inside. If you knew where she came from and what these guys put her through, you might understand her reasoning. I'm not saying she was right. She was way off base. I agree that there are far better and less damaging ways to handle this. He enters. Bryant follows and latches the door closed. Chavez puts his hands on his knees and lets out a breath. Oh, she is going to be pissed at me. I made her a promise. I wouldn't blow unless, Bryant leads, knowing Clemens. There was an exception and she'll be proud. I knew it was coming and you convinced me. Oh, I think we need a period right there. There we go. Chavez runs a hand over his face. Doesn't feel like pride, the total opposite. He takes a breath. How much of what she said was true, from what you know that I don't? What she implied this information could do and the consequences for mishandling it? Brian suggests truth makes for the best foundations. The methods she utilized, you and me, your history, my history, that she knows better than we could admit. Somehow she knows it correlates. I can't argue with it. I can't really either, but why me? That's the part I can't understand. Because like she said, it couldn't be her. I don't pretend to know all the reasons. I've just learned to trust that hers are hers and she'll take the hit if it's for the right reason. I don't understand. Just with what you heard, this guy, Wraith, was into some nasty things. Over the years, I've connected him to everything from identity theft to getting known terrorists into the States. For the right price to move untraceable millions from accounts frozen or under investigation, effectively disappearing our evidence. Small-time drug and weapon deals, rigged the entire correction system to free a kingpin and friends. Yeah, he was all over it. His beginnings were shortly after the blackout that hit this area. A lot of hard work was lost, and even I am guilty of looking the other way as shortcuts were taken to keep the criminals behind bars. He started selling what was supposed to be pre-blackout data to the highest bidder that countered or exposed what had been recreated. Clemens' involvement, that personal conflict, Chavez asks, I wasn't party to most of it. I was an officer. Maybe what she was provided will fill those gaps. He presents the drive. But I know she was on one side of a monster, he said. She said, with a pharmaceutical company involving medical procedures, trials, and the like when she was a civilian. From what I understand, most of it's sealed. My investigations into Wraith and his dealings, the company and her name would appear enough to warrant placing significant value there. Bryant continues. While she was hospitalized, I'm probably crossing a personal line here. She was pretty tight with your SAC. He was out of the D.C. office then, but used her to close some cold cases. That helped those guys out there. He nods towards the bullpen. Amazing mind that one's got. He laughs. If she threw you in here, I bet you the farm you're the right man for the job. Hospitalized? Chavez asks. It's not a secret or anything. It was pretty big here then. She and her dad got caught in an avalanche. They never found him. It was thought she would be paralyzed for good. It was sad. someone that young with so much ahead of them. She overcame the odds and took the time to thank every one of those guys who rallied and raised money in her support. She sacrificed. That's crazy! Chavez clenches his fists, trying to fight off the anger. Not really. As time went on and the investigation from the Justice Department, the rift between them and us grew. She was seen as a traitor, siding with the now ASAC and the feds. It didn't help she was called as a witness in a grand jury that didn't go over so well for many in the department. She did us a huge favor. Okay, I'm at 35 minutes, but I know a couple of that was me looking back for things, but I think section 6, because my alarm is getting ready to go off, it's like a few seconds. And so I think section 6 is a good spot for us to stop. And I'm going to highlight section 6 in a nice, beautiful hot pink that has come to be what I recognize as where I left off. And I'm going to stop right there. And we are at 35 minutes. I got 40 seconds. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off my timer. All right. Okay, guys, that's where I'm going to end this video. And I will pick up on part B of chapter 15. How much more do I have to go? How close am I? Oh, I'm almost done. I could finish this. Let's just go ahead and finish this because we're almost done. It's reading really well, by the way. All right. Let me delete that and let's just keep going. There's a tap at the door. Bryant ensures Chavez is okay and opens it. Captain. Got word of a stir, Captain Barlow, he introduces. Chavez, FBI, he says, shaking his hand. Sorry, sir, that was my fault. I have a bit of a problem controlling my temper. I said some things I shouldn't have. It won't happen again. He straightens, bracing himself for judgment. You sure? Barlow asks. From what I hear, you were standing up for what you thought was right. I would have to agree with you, sir, Bryant says. I like and respect Clemens, always have, and I understand her perspective. She's not wrong about what needs to be done, but her approach in this instance was, I feel, clouded by personal feelings that could have been costly with our already battered relationship with the feds. Not just for the department, sir, Chavez offers, for us as well. She warned as she might be too close and told me to speak up if I thought she was crossing a line. That doesn't excuse my outburst. I'm sorry, this is your house. Apology unnecessary, but accepted, Barlow says, facing Bryant. What case are we referencing here? Same as always. After a million requests, he holds up the jump drive. Feds are releasing what they have on Wraith. Apparently, he's one of our dead in the explosion. ASAC Steiner gave me a heads up on that a few days ago. I take it there's solid evidence that your ghost was a victim, Barlow asks. I haven't looked at it yet, but the timing and my knowledge, we couldn't discount it. We shouldn't discount it, Bryant offers, of the circumstances. Wouldn't mind shutting down this obsession with this wraith once and for all, but do us all an act of kindness. No mountains out of molehills, Barlow asks. Confirm or deny and close it down. Yes, sir. One more favor, sir, Bryant asks. Allow a little interagency cooperation with Agent Chavez here, Barlow offers. After what just happened out there, it'd go a long way to smooth over any damage Clemens will do if she pulls the rug out from under us. Besides, I'm sure this thing is at least password protected and requires federal credentials to view, Bryant says. Oh, we actually have says close together. I was not going to highlight it, and then I was like, oh, what? There's another one right beneath it. Okay. Recently enacted protocol to avoid sensitive data theft, Chavez says. Anything leaving the building has to be opened for viewing with agent logins, all compared to the central server. Barlow smiles. Oh, we had smiling earlier, but I don't know that it was him. I feel like those were up with Sam and they were closer together. I'm inclined to leave this one, but I am just going to highlight it so you can see it. And honestly, I only highlighted the ones I noticed. I didn't go back and search for them. So you might do a search for smiles just to see how much you're using it. Barlow smiles. It was to be Clement. Clement? Do they mean Clemens? I didn't understand it then, but the SAC works in mysterious ways. You two keep me in the loop? Yes, sir, both say in unison. Barlow lowers his head. You can set up in Davidson's office. His wife called a bit ago. He's going to need more time to recover than expected. Sorry to hear that, sir. Send my well wishes, Bryant asks. There we go. If there's more to this than just an accident, you can do it in person, he addresses Chavez. One of ours injured in the blast, few burns and some broken bones, but they just got word their son didn't make it. Chavez swallows hard. I'll make sure we do this right. They both nod, and understanding as Barlow closes the door, Bryant holds out his hand. Welcome to the team. I wish it were under better circumstances, Chavez says, meeting it. Okay. It's reading very well. honestly, this is not a lot. I don't have a lot of suggestions here. Some of the paragraphs are longer, but honestly, it reads well, and I think my suggestions were smaller. I feel like it's been like that for the last chapter as well. So, oh, I did miss you. Yeah, I did. But as I got to flowing, I did not notice all of the says and asks. So I've definitely missed some. What I might suggest is that you do a search, kind of looking for the ones I might have missed, and then highlighted them yourself if I missed them. Like here's two right beside each other. And then what I would do with that information after you kind of do your own search and make sure that they're all highlighted is kind of look over it and look at how close they are to one another, and then make decisions about what you could say instead of, or give an action instead of. Use body language, facial expression. You have options. You have a lot at your disposal. You can decide what to do and which ones to keep and which ones to kind of let go and put some distance between. Like I said, I'm not gonna keep scrolling way back there. At least it's brought to your awareness, and this gives you a quick look at it. I probably should have put says and asks in different colors so that you could quickly group all the says and all the asks together. I'll try to do better next time. But for now, I'll see you guys next time on Mystery Red Reads.